Steven Haynes is the founder of Fjord Cold Plunge, great entrepreneur here in Austin, also a faith-aligned entrepreneur. We're gonna go chat with him about him and his business today in his backyard. Let's go check it out.
What's up?
How are we doing?
Good.
Doing well?
How's it going?
Good, man. Doing well. We're filming live.
Nice.
What's going on, man? How you doing?
Doing great.
Good. This is Aaron. Aaron, by the way.
Aaron, come on in.
Yeah. Steven, welcome to the Built to Multiply podcast. Excited to have you on here.
Excited to be on. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, definitely, man. So tell us a little bit about you, your background, faith background, and then how you got into business ownership.
Yeah. So my background is in strategy consulting. So I was doing that ever since college. I went to college at Texas A&M. I'm a Texas native and started getting into the world of consulting because when I was in college, I was told that if you want a nice job where you never have to decide what you want to do, you should do consulting because you get a new job every 3 months as you switch projects, and got to see the world that way. It was really exciting. Did a lot of oil and gas consulting. Part of that oil and gas consulting was for Chevron and ConocoPhillips, which took me to the west coast of Norway, to Stavanger. I was posted up there multiple times for several weeks, and at the time was training for triathlon. So I would swim in the fjords to get my swim training in, which was between 45 and 55 degrees Fahrenheit during that times that I was there, depending on time of year. And I got kind of used to the fact that, man, I really like cold water and I'm sleeping better. My soreness from my runs is not as drastic. And this was all the way back 2015. So once I got that done, I kind of, pivoted over into entrepreneurship about 3 years ago. I started this company. So I started Fjord Cold Plunge. We manufacture and sell the highest quality American-made cold plunges. We got a little cold water that me and you are going to get in here in a minute.
Let's do it.
And switched over into entrepreneurship and started doing running this business. I was passionate about the wellness space more so than I was just like making as much money as possible. And so knowing that I'm helping people and seeing my customers being happy and passionate has been, super rewarding. So that's why I'm still in it.
That's awesome. So, I mean, you had the W-2 of all W-2s. Like, you had a great job. You were traveling around. I mean, I knew kind of you back in the day when you were consulting.
Yeah.
What drives somebody to leave a gig like that and then go start a company?
I did have a pretty cushy situation towards the end. I was a pretty senior person at the company. I had been there since early on and was really enjoying the lifestyle that it provided. However, anybody that's been in management consulting before could tell you, I did it for 16 years.
Wow.
And
yeah.
Most people do it for like 2 or 3 because then they go to business school and they get out of it because it's a grind. The hours are really long and unpredictable. And the travel is really intense. So I started realizing, hey, I'm starting to get to the point in my life where maybe I want to do something different. There was also some switches of leadership at my company, which made the culture a little bit less attractive. So there's a couple things that came together and the timing felt right. So this is post-COVID, 2022, when I had the idea to do something different. It was a bit of an accident. It started off as an accident, which then moved to an experiment, which then turned into a full-on business. And the accident was I built a cold plunge here at my house, just out of a commercial fishing cooler.
As one does.
And some stuff that I found online and bought it all retail and built it out, and it worked and it was great. And my friends would come over and they were trying it out and they loved it. And so then a few of them were like, can you build me one? So I built probably 7 or 8 cold plunges for friends at cost, just to help them out. And then I'm getting calls from their friends that are at their place seeing the cold plunges and being like, can this guy make me one? So now I'm getting orders from strangers and I'm still working my consulting job. Now I'm thinking this could be a really cool side gig. Started doing it as a side gig, and then one thing led to another and it really started growing and it started to replace my consulting income. And I thought, I'm gonna go ahead and turn this into a business. I'm gonna give it a 1-year experiment. If it goes wrong, I'm gonna give myself the psychological safety to say I can go back into consulting or something else and pay the bills, if worse comes to worse. And the whole first year, first year and a half was really a challenge. It was a struggle. But I kept pressing. What happened is after about a year and a half, we were really trying to get the product right. We kept iterating it and trying new equipment and couldn't quite get it to where it was, a better quality than what was on the market. Until about a year and a half in, we dialed in the product. I scrapped everything else I was doing and I said, let's go American made. I don't care if my costs double. I want to make a high quality cold plunge that does not break to sort of address the reliability gap that was in the market. So that's what we did. And when we did that, we launched the new product at Hack Your Health, which was a biohacking conference in Austin about a year and a half ago. And we sold 9 cold plunges in 2 days. And it got all this traction and it became something. And then from there, we just been growing it. We grew the team. We're currently doing our very first Series A fundraise, and it's really moved along. So it's been an adventure.
That's awesome, man. Congrats. Really cool to see. And just from my perspective, kind of see like how the whole company's gone as you've been building it. One of the things that you said that I think is super interesting is that like you had a plan B in the back of your mind. It was, hey, if this doesn't go well, I know I can always go and get another consulting gig. Maybe it's not going to be the position I had. Maybe it's not the company, but I know that I have these skills and I've added value for a company before. I think one of the things that I've seen many times is like people get into their heads where it's just like, if this goes wrong, it tears everything down. But most people who are thinking about starting a company, I do think like are coming from a great job. Like they've had success. Otherwise, they're probably not thinking about going to starting a company. And so I've always felt like the risk to start a business is actually much lower than what you might make it out in your head to be.
Yeah. And there's also the thing where psychologically, ask yourself, if you're thinking about doing something like this, what is the risk of not doing it? What am I giving up? What's my opportunity cost? Financial freedom, living an adventure, meeting all kinds of great people, getting connected to circles I would have never been connected to before. It's all those things that you're giving up by staying in a traditional W-2 job. So taking on your own endeavor, building your own thing, there's a lot of gain to be had there. Yeah, and so I think it's like thinking through that and considering like, what is the cost of me not doing this?
Yeah, I love that because once you're in the game, I totally agree. There's more opportunities that come to you once you're already actively pursuing whatever your vision is. But to get to that point, you've got to go through the first year. Sounds like for you, it was a year and a half. And so talk to me a little bit about what were some of the challenges you started to have as you were launching the company, trying to get this thing off the ground. And just what was that like for you?
It started off really exciting. And it was a lot of fun and it was really exciting. I think that two of the challenges for me, what I'd chosen to do really up until current moment is bootstrap the company and self-fund it. I did have like a nice runway from working in consulting for 16 years. I was able to have some money that I could pay everything for myself. And the business takes a tremendous amount of money to get going and get going right. And to have a year and a half runway where you're buying tens of thousands of dollars of equipment per month or per quarter and dealing with that inventory load and all that stuff, and then just trying to get that stuff marketed and put it out there. And for us, it really, the inflection point, as I mentioned, was really when we got the product right. So it took me a year and a half. That was the biggest challenge, is getting the product right to where it did not, break in 6 months or have an issue or, something along those lines, which is just so notorious. Like all cold plunge companies that are on the market, when I say all, I need to be careful with that. The vast majority order, white labeled chillers and tubs from China. And they're just, the manufacturing quality, unfortunately, is not there. So you've got to take it into your own hands and custom design and build something of your own to get to a point where you're feeling like you're treating your customers right. So it took us a long time to get there and a lot of investment. So the company's really only been, profitable for the last year and a half.
Yeah, and so during that first year and a half, you're bootstrapping it. You've not only left your W-2 and kind of that steady biweekly paycheck, it sounds like you're also investing in inventory, investing in advertising, trying to go and do some of these events and the conferences that you were talking about. What was that like for you going from I've got a job. Of course, I'm working my job. I'm putting effort into it, but I'm getting paid immediately every 2 weeks, very predictably too. Now I actually have to invest to build an asset that I hope, I hope one day will pay me back.
That's right. Yeah, it is. It's a risk. And I think there's a couple of things that come to mind. One, of course, is just the reality, the financial reality that you have months where you make great money and you have a bunch of sales. You have 16, 18 sales in a month and you're like, wow,
I'm the man. Yeah.
I just blew my past income out of the water. And you have another month, like in the winter or something, when it's a little bit the off season, where you make 2 sales and you're like, oh, whoa, okay, I've got to dig into savings again this month. So from month to month and from quarter to quarter, it really has been a roller coaster financially. And when you run your own business, it's like your life. It's a representation. It has an effect on your psychology. I think it's really good and healthy for people to be able to find so much purpose and joy outside of their job and outside their like monthly income. It gives you a lot of sustainability and resilience as an entrepreneur. I think that's really important. I've tried to hone that in. And because of my faith in God, like that's allowed me to step into that a lot more and see a bigger picture. The second thing that comes to mind is it's been one of the things that's fueled me and kept me going. It's just all the relationships that I make and constantly every week having conversations with other founders that are in this with me and joining founders circles and founders organizations like has allowed me to feel like I'm not in this on my own and other people understand, other people have been through it.
The community is so important. I mean, having people that are in the same boat as you, because it is so different. I mean, I do feel like for me, at times it is challenging to connect with somebody who doesn't own a business because it is like the things that are on my mind are payroll, cash flow, sales, like where are we going to take the organization? And it can be all encompassing if you let it be. And so I do think that having people to where you can have those conversations with is super important. I mean, we've really tried to develop, at least in our franchise company, like a sense of community amongst the franchisees. And then even for myself, I agree, joining the founders organizations, like all of these are so important just as far as building resilience for whatever might come up, because it's not easy. It's all new. So you came from the consulting world and now would you consider yourself more of a product company, a manufacturing company, a distributor, or maybe all the above, or what do you consider yourself?
Definitely not a distributor. Definitely more of a manufacturing company that's product first.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you went from consulting to manufacturing. I imagine not all skills were transferable. No. Hopefully a lot of them were. What was that like, just as far as getting in an industry that, you probably didn't know that? It sounds like you were building it out of your house, but you probably didn't know that much about manufacturing and everything that goes into that.
It's humbling. Yeah, it's pretty humbling because, you would think coming off of all this consulting experience, I know about financial statements and valuation and, key ratios and how to look at a company and make it more healthy that's already established. But no one in consulting teaches you how to create a brand new company and build a team around it. We didn't really do any training around team building. So in marketing, my goodness, even though we're product first, you got to get the product marketed and sell it. So I think the product marketing piece has been huge. And just having great people around you and people to build a team with has been, what's unlocked our potential in the areas where I don't have my own native strengths.
Where's your company at today as far as like size? Like what's the picture of it? It sounds like you kind of took it from seed validation and you're starting to grow more aggressively now. But as far as like employees, what does the organization look like? Yeah.
We have 3 people that I consider as the core team. And then we have a bunch of contractors that we work with as well. So we're pretty nimble and pretty small. Post-funding, so we are currently raising for the first time. So post-funding, we're going to grow the remit, scope, and number of heads that we have in the company because we certainly need the help. We've been a little bit bootstrapped based off of what we have to pay for in terms of payroll so far.
What's it like moving from bootstrapping the organization, and now you're bringing in some other parties, it sounds like, through investment. What's the fundraising been like, and what's that been like for you as you scale?
The fundraising's been great. It's gone a lot more effectively than I had imagined it would. I talked to a founder yesterday who had raised money recently. He said he had 130 conversations before he got a first yes. I think I had one conversation before I got a yes. And, I just put together a small list of individuals. I decided we're not going to go institutional if we don't have to. So we're just going to go to individuals that I know and have known for a long time, that have done well and that have an interest in this. Secondarily, the other group I went to was customers. So any customers that I had that I knew might have the capital and the interest in investing in the business because they obviously love the product and their users, I thought, why not? And I reached out to my influencers too. And so we've got a pretty good reception from people. I mean, it's probably 50% on people that are interested in participating.
Why not just continue to bootstrap it and run it this way? Like, what are you looking to do when you
It would
bring
just
on new
be
capital?
so slow. It's a speed thing. So we want to, we've never run a paid ad. We've never run a Meta or a Google paid ad. So all of our growth and sales are organic. It's my own outreach. It's my network. It's influencers. It's going to biohacking events, sponsoring Running Man, things like that. And we've never run a paid ad. So I had a conversation about 3 weeks ago at a wellness event. I was wearing my hat, my Fjord hat, and I was standing there, and this guy comes up to me, who I don't know or don't recognize, but he knows me, he knows Fjord somehow. And we're talking, and he's real interested, and he's asking some insider questions. So I started talking to this guy, and he's like, well, I'm also the founder of a cold plunge company. And we started talking, and sure enough, he is. And he told me the brand, and I knew the brand. So I'd seen his ads on Meta. And I was like, okay, cool. Our products are really different. So I didn't feel like it was competitive. I just wanted to have a collaborative interaction. And I said, well, hey, how do you bring in most of your top line? Like, where do your sales come from? And he said, oh, dude, 98% Meta ads. That's it. It's like where our business runs off Meta ads. And I was like, I haven't run a single Meta ad. So the funding will allow us to launch a paid ads campaign that will unlock potentially 95% growth on, 95% representation of our revenue versus currently it's 100% organic.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think business today, at least if you want to grow fast, how it has to be operated is like very similar to what you're doing. I mean, you got to nail the product, and like it's got to be something that people actually like. Yeah. Because then if you go and invest, you're just going to double, triple your problems.
That's correct.
The way that you've done it, I really like you built your own network, you hustled, you've probably gone through a couple of iterations on the tub, I'm sure, more than a couple. And you've really figured out what works and putting your own skin on the line to do it. But now that you have that, in my mind as an entrepreneur, I always have in the back of my mind, am I moving fast enough? And so capitalizing yourself to where you can go and be really urgent and make some aggressive moves, but also having the confidence that you've nailed the product, I think is really great. And I also think that's something that you have to do in business today if you're going to be serious about growing your company.
Yeah, we would have been in a lot of trouble if we launched a paid ads campaign 6 months in and we're selling a product that wasn't ready for market. So it's been a long labor of love working on this for 3 years, but getting the product right and getting a product market fit, having our units out in the market now for almost 2 years, this particular unit has allowed us to capture the data okay, these are really good. These don't break. People are happy with them. And now it's pull the lever, sell them. Don't deal with a bunch of warranty requests, customer service requests, just run your business.
How has, as far as marketing, tell me what that initial hustle is like. So you think you've got a good product, you're obviously getting just organic people reaching out to you, asking you to build tubs. You've quit your job, you're doing this full time. I mean, how much effort were you spending in promoting your business, and what did that look like? I don't know if you have numbers, KPIs, time, or I'd just love to hear what that looked like in the beginning.
Yeah.
To get this off the ground.
In the beginning, like I said, it's all been organic. And in the beginning, what that looked like for us was participating in other people's wellness events. People start to know you as a brand. You're local in Austin. So anyone fortunately we live in a place where there's, 2 wellness events a day on the weekends every week. And so I'd get hit up by people, hey, can you bring the cold plunges? I was just bringing them. I was just trying to rep the product. And we would host our own monthly, meetups here as well and build a community around that. So a lot of it was in-person marketing, biohacking conferences. Like I said, we sponsored Running Man this past year, which was huge for us. So a lot of that stuff was the marketing that I was doing, plus just cold outreaches to gyms, wellness centers, some of the commercial clients to try to get some commercial business, which now represents over 60% of our revenue, the commercial side, whereas we started off 100% homeowners. So the marketing has been that, but like I said, switching over to more digital paid marketing is going to be the next shift, and I think that's going to be a game changer.
Yeah, that's awesome. Cool. Well, I love to hear it. I want to ask a little bit more, as you've been running the business from a faith perspective, what's been that like for you? I mean, I'd say just give us some background on your faith and kind of how you went into the faith and just how it's been in your business today.
Yeah. It's super encouraging meeting with other people that are believers running a business. You get this like idea that like, wow, there's a bigger purpose that we're both driving towards, and there's a calmness, almost a confidence that comes from it. For me, yeah, I mean, I grew up in the church, grew up in a Baptist church with my parents, so I was kind of raised with that in mind. So I think cognitively, I would ascribe to the beliefs of the Christian church when I was a kid. And then, but it wasn't until I moved to Austin in my early 20s that God really revealed himself to me. I got involved in the Austin Stone Church. One thing led to another, ended up leading a Bible study that sort of fell into my lap. They needed somebody and I volunteered, and then just kept doing it and did that for like many years. And God was just working in my life and revealing himself to me. And the way he revealed himself to me was just different than I thought. I thought he was going to be somebody that's keeping score and that's a judge and that I've got to like do all these things right for. And I can't even approach him if I don't like, just, obey for a long time and be perfect. And then suddenly I just realized, oh, no. This is the prodigal father. This is the one who's waiting for us to turn around and come to him. And he's there for us with a big hug and a bunch of grace. Whenever the Pharisees brought the woman in front of Jesus that was caught in adultery, he didn't stone her. He didn't chastise her. He said, any of you guys haven't sinned? Throw the first stone. And they all walked away. Amazing. And then he's like, woman, where have your accusers gone? And she's like, or he's like, where are your accusers? And she's like, they're not here, Lord. And he's just like, well, then I don't accuse you either. And it's just like, that's the one. That's the one. And so having God on your side and the Holy Spirit driving into your heart and into your, joy capacity is something that I think is helpful in life in general. So I think everything's tied together. Mm-hmm. If you're healthy in your spiritual life, your physical life, you're going to be healthy in your business life. It's all tied together.
How do you handle, so one of the things you said was when you started to get into the faith, it was like, thinking about it might be like achievement culture, right? Like I get X, Y, Z and I get this. One of the things that I've struggled with is in business, it is binary. You win or you lose. And so I've always struggled to not use that part of myself within the faith because I do find a lot of value, at least from that type of mentality within business. But then when I go into my own faith, it's just not how it works. So how do you balance that type of mentality?
Yeah, it's a different scorecard. It's different, man. Yeah, thinking about how the way things work in a very transactional way in the world, like you said, kind of a win-loss column. And in business, sometimes we get like immediate feedback on that stuff. And I think with, Paul talks about it being a marathon, and running a race. And I think it's more that in your faith because God knows there's going to be ups and downs, but he's always there with you. And he's outside of time. And we have nothing to prove. We're not trying to win anything. He's already won. It's just receiving that,
I love that. I mean, what an interesting concept that I've talked to a few people about is that you could fail in your business and that could be God's plan because his definition of success, it's not our definition of success. And trying to wrap my head around that can be challenging at times because obviously like I'd love to see success in business, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, God's plan it's not materialistic. Like he already owns everything. And so it is more about are we becoming the person that he wants to see us become, more like him? And then more importantly, are we telling other people about Jesus as well?
Right.
I'd love to hear just thoughts around that or anything that comes to mind there.
Yeah, I love that, you know, we don't have to win this. There's nothing to win, and that, you know, God is keeping a different scorecard, and the scorecard really is just like, love me and love your neighbor. You know, like, just be full of me, and the more you're full of me, the more you're going to love others. One thing that I had, you know, God has like done these beautiful things where he like personally reveals himself to me in different ways in different seasons of my life. And one thing that he revealed to me about himself last year was he's all these different things, right? He's, you know, the peacemaker, he's a provider, he's, you know, the God King, the creator, he's all these different things. He's the savior, but also Jesus is the light, and he is the one that can shine light into darkness. And so as entrepreneurs, I think you go through seasons where, like I said, you have a bad month, where the scorecard in the real world is rough. Maybe even things in your personal life aren't even going that well. And then you'll have like some darker moments. Jesus is the one who shines light into darkness. Why would not we go to the light source?
Yeah. What's your value in? Is it in your external achievements, or is it in God and your faith alone? I think it's a great thought. Yeah, I mean, I think it's so easy. And unfortunately, I do feel like business is it feels like it puts an x-ray on you in some ways, to where you figure stuff out about yourself that you wish you didn't know. And so it is like, is my value actually in the achievements, or is it in Christ alone?
I was told that happens in marriage, Jay. Was that true?
Unfortunately, I have many x-rays that get shined on me. So I do think that as you grow, though, in responsibility or influence, whether it is through like family, marriage, like being in the community, like being a leader of different organizations or business, it is just like you get so much shine on yourself, because your issues then get trickled out to other people, whether it is in the community, organization, or family. Unfortunately, it seems like when you're leading, that other people will take on any of what your faults are.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, good stuff. Appreciate you being on. Fun to hear a little bit more about your story, and excited to see the growth of Fjord.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, man.
Thanks, man. It's been a pleasure. Thanks. Great questions. Appreciate you.
Cool. Thanks for having me on.